You are listening to the BlahCade Pinball Podcast. I am your host, Chris Freebus, a.k.a. Shut Your Trap. Joining me, as always, halfway across the world, Jared Morgan. You are listening to the BlahCade Pinball Podcast. I am your host, Chris Freebus,
a.k.a. I'm getting it flagged back again.
Halfway across the world.
I'm getting that whole intro spiel playing back again. I don't know why. Hello, everybody. We're trying new things today.
A few new things. All right, let me go this.
So we're Chris. How about you explain?
Okay, we're trying some. We're trying to do this live now, folks.
Yeah.
With the music, we figured out a way. Thank you, Jeff Strong. You really helped me out on this. But there's obviously going to be some hiccups.
Yeah. Yeah,
a lot of hiccups.
Just initially, I think you could probably go into a little bit how it's all set up and how many things you need to monitor at the moment, and like a quick TikTok with Chris. TikTok.
So for a very long time, folks, we have been wanting to basically produce the show live, because poor Jared, after we get done doing the podcast, he then has to upload it to our hosting site for the podcast itself, but none of the music is in there. So he's also got to record it with the music in the front, put the music in the back, and then he takes all of his timing notes, and it winds up taking a very long, laborious amount of time for him.
Essentially takes the same amount of time as it takes to record the episode. Yeah. I need to then do post on it. So it's
so if you're ever wondering why the podcasts sometimes come out so much later after the YouTube stream, that would be why.
Yeah, because the problem is, like, normally this wasn't a problem. Like, before I started the job I'm in at the moment, it didn't really matter. I had time up my sleeve to do this during the weeknights because it was a very clear sort of stop. But where I work now, they're quite particular about logging time, and that in itself is actually good, because you want to make sure you're doing the right amount of work and doing your hours at work. But the problem is that you quickly realize that, wow, I've got a lot of time to make up if I've got to do school run and all this sort of stuff when you're actually tracking it down to the hour. So my evenings now are usually, like, on my work from home days, which is Monday and Thursday, are usually working up until I go to bed to make up my hours. So on those days that I normally do that work on the podcast, I don't have those days anymore. And I found that doing it on the way to work in the train, it was okay. I could do it, but it's much easier having two screens up, where I've got my Cakewalk digital audio workstation, one screen, and Medium up with the show notes, transcribing those live as I'm listening to the show. So all these things culminated into me getting the show out pretty much. Oh my God, I have to do it on Friday night quickly, and like, yeah, and going show. And I really enjoy it. The thing is,
why do we have to do a podcast again?
The thing is that I actually the act of doing the editing and doing the post-production, I actually don't mind doing that. It's just it's always being reminded that I have to do it. That's the thing that makes me resentful. And that, oh no, I still have to do that. Oh no, I still have to do that. And that just keeps on eating away at you all week. And it just really chips down your enthusiasm. So what we're doing here is we're experimenting, as Chris said, with a way of doing pretty much the bump in and bump out, and as we get better at it, other stuff during the middle breaks of the show. So that I can literally just, after the show ends and the YouTube live session goes public, I can grab the audio and just download it and literally take the whole file and upload it straight to Shout Engine, do the medium post, which would take me about 15 minutes, and I'll be done in less than 30 minutes. So it halves production time.
Translation, you, the people that don't watch YouTube but just purely listen to the podcast auditorily, you'll get it much faster.
Yeah, you'll get it quick. Yeah,
you'll get it quick. That's
how we make the sausage here.
Yeah, how the sausage gets made. The thing that is just was infinitely frustrating to me, and the whole point of us hooking up our microphones and being able to talk to you guys, that's no problem. Getting sounds off your computer is insanely complicated. It's like, why? It's all right there. It's all functioning in the computer. Why can't you just do one simple push of a button and, hey, whatever noise comes from your computer gets sent to whatever you're recording to. And I know all the people that broadcast on Twitch and use OBS and stuff like that. They've all had the exact same kind of questions, but it's kind of built into those programs, as opposed to YouTube doesn't have that built in nice and easily for you to do. So we've tried it various times. We failed all those times, and I finally found something to use. We're using this thing called Voice Meter, which is a donationware software. So we'll probably be having to make a donation if it works out for us.
Yes.
And it's allowing us to actually maybe be able to play music. So we're going to have to be playing with levels. I don't know what level is too low before you can't hear the music, even though it's playing in my ears. It may not play on the YouTube stream. So there's still going to be some experimenting about. But again, the whole point is hopefully we'll make a better show for you guys.
That's right.
And easier on us. So there you go.
Yeah. So win-win. Chicken dins. Yeah.
Win-win chicken dins. So last week me, spoke to Mel, and he had all sorts of stuff to say. Obviously, not just about the Volume 4 releases, which we're going to talk about first, but even going into that wonderful giant cabinet that I can't wait to get my hands on. So let's first talk about, because I've been playing a ton of this stuff just in the past couple of days, broadcasting my gameplay. And I'll just tell you guys right now, those of you that are watching on YouTube right now, as soon as the podcast is over, I'll be popping into Steam. If you look my profile up, Shut Your Trap, I'll be playing some of the Volume 4 tables, so you can actually get an idea of what they look like pre-purchase. But yeah, I've been obviously playing the 3 tables, which are Whitewater, Roadshow, and Hurricane. And each are interesting for showing off, obviously, what Zen is capable of. I'm assuming, Jared, with your busy schedule, you've not been able to really take a gander at them.
Only in the alpha that was released to us a while back, and that's the version that had the ticking symbol noise in Whitewater. So have they? Because I know that Dead Flip did a stream. So I wonder, have they actually done almost like a release candidate final for him without the weird audio
That's
thing?
what I'm playing.
All right, okay.
The same version that Dead Flip was playing.
So
I never heard ticking, so I don't know it.
Oh, that must be the one that's. Have they just updated the original beta? Have they?
Yes. Yeah. And the beta it's slightly different. There's a little bit more polish on it, but not much.
I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll need to check it out. I want to check it out.
So first of all, let's go ahead and talk about Whitewater. And
the first thing that jumps out at me is those ramps. They're so clear.
Oh, they're really beautifully rendered and nice and clear, and the whole table in general, it just looks proper.
Crisp.
Again,
crisp.
For those of you that sit there and go, I already own these tables in Pinball Arcade, watch one of these streams and compare what the tables look like compared to those. It is
night and day.
Night and day. For instance, just look at the Bigfoot. The Bigfoot that Zen has rendered is this nice, dark, rich, chocolatey
brown. Yeah.
You look at Bigfoot in TPA's version, and he looks like he had a go with some bleach.
Yeah.
It's washed out. It's not a proper brown. It just kind of looks. There's nothing about it that's photoreal. Let's put it to you that way.
Yeah, that's right. Or it may be photoreal, but it's done with really bad exposure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ramps don't look to scale or whatever. There's kind of a weird perspective, aspect going on with it.
Yeah.
And then that's on top of just playing the physics that go along with playing it. So, I mean, right off the bat, it just looks phenomenal. The lighting is fantastic on it.
Yeah.
Nice, warm amber glow to it. All the inserts, none of them are blown out or anything like that. So it's got that going. Play-wise, it's brutal.
Yeah. Is this on actual simulation mode?
Yes.
Like on Pro Physics mode?
Arcade mode. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've only played it in Zen because I just find Well, it's terrible, but it's more accessible for me.
It is more accessible. What's funny, so I was watching the Dead Flip stream.
Yeah.
And he's playing it, and somebody was asking about, about the flipper physics, and I quickly looked, and I was like, he's playing it in Zen mode. So I typed in the chat thing, I'm like, put it to arcade mode. And he's like, what? Oh, okay. So we stopped the game and restarted and put it into arcade mode. Started playing it. Within 2 flips, he was like, holy crap, why the hell would anybody not play in this mode? And convert right then and there.
And that's saying something, because Dead Flip knows his way around.
He knows pinball.
Yeah, Mr. Danger knows his way around a pinball machine. So for him to go, oh, okay, this is the thing that you do, right? Yeah,
no, we got him excited.
Big accolade.
Quickly, the only thing that he wasn't, because he was playing obviously with a controller. He kept on complaining that his nudges, he just wasn't quick enough on him. There's a disconnect between when you're
shaking it
and shaking machine and having to reach over with your flum and flip a joystick. So it was kind of funny that his reaction was immediate. He was like, holy crap, this is so much better. And
that really plays well to Zen, because if people trust Jack with his opinions about pinball. So if he's saying that, then Zen's just got themselves a whole lot of new customers, really. Yeah.
Obviously, the big thing to talk about with all 3 of these tables is going to be the flipper physics, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. But I want to talk about the enhanced mode. So when you flip the enhanced, suddenly you got a standing Bigfoot, which they took, and I commented to this to Mel in the last podcast. It's not like Zen is just freestyling on their art.
No.
They find the art on the cabinet or on the flyer, and they basically do a 3D render of it.
Yes.
So the way Bigfoot looks full-bodied is the way he looks
on plastic or a flyer or somewhere. Yeah.
Exactly. My only complaint is he's now small because of that.
Yeah, true.
And I kind of wish they had have just stuck with half body and had him animate.
Yeah, his head actually fully animate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like start growling at you and snarling at you, like when you get his when you hot foot him. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, that's just kind of a small quibble that I would have liked. Other than that, all they did was they added a sign, and down on the pop bumpers they added 2 rafts. Down on the apron they added another white water raft and some life preserver floats. And that's really it that they did for the enhancements.
No water enhancements in that one.
Yeah, no water on the waterfall, which was I was like, oh man, I really would have liked that. But I know that, again, it probably would have just been a beast for rendering.
And also probably may have actually got a little bit tired after a while as well, maybe. Because you do tend to shoot that ramp a fair bit. If you're going for combos, if you're going for raft combos, it tends to end up there a fair bit.
But again, it's not as easy as it was in TPA.
No, it's not like vacuum ramp.
No. But what they did do, so if you put the ball into the whirlpool, there will be a water splash. If you put the ball into the boulder garden, all of a sudden little chunks of boulders fly all over.
Chunk off, yeah.
Yeah. So they did. If you do. It might just be if you do No Way Out. I'm not quite sure which ramp you hit. It rains on Bigfoot.
Yes.
So there's all sorts of little subtle animations that happen on that. So that's pretty cool too. But yeah, I drained so much on that table.
In Pro Figures mode, yeah.
It is a center drain disaster. And there's even the right outline. If the ball goes up towards the boulder garden but doesn't quite hit right, it's going to drain out the right side pretty quickly.
Also, too, if you do a right flipper catch out of the mine and it rolls up the in lane or the return lane, it will most likely go down the side as well.
In Zen mode, it will, not in arcade mode.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Because that was annoying the bejeebers out of me.
In arcade mode, it'll go straight up and either come straight back down, or it'll start going to the left and sometimes go on the other side of the slingshot.
Oh, that's good. That's how it should behave.
And you know why it's behaving that way? Proper ball spin. And it's now got because they didn't do this in Zen mode, but they did this in get classic single player mode, that's arcade mode. Regular single player mode, that's what we call Zen mode. Just definitions.
I
But
really wish they change it. It's just so annoying.
it is annoying. But in arcade mode, one of the things that Zen did for the physics, they actually created a texture for the surface for the ball to react to.
Right.
So it's not just gliding. So when the ball has proper ball spin, and if it was going up the inlane the way it does, that's why it's behaving better in arcade mode than it is in Zen mode.
In Zen mode. Well, that's great. Definitely have to try that later on today.
And one of the things I really noticed, and I mean, I noticed it a little bit in volumes 1 through 3, but in volume 4, I'm really noticing the ball doing where it's got some backspin going on to it, and it'll also change trajectory a little bit because of that backspin.
Very nice.
And that's because of how it's reacting to the flippers.
Yeah.
If you want to see the flippers in action, Whitewater's not really the table, though, to see it with.
No.
The table to see it with is Hurricane. Because Hurricane has, like, for instance, if you go and shoot the Hurricane ramp and you don't quite make it and it rolls back down and you don't do anything, you just do a dead pass, it's going to come rocketing down, it's going to hit your right flipper, and you're going to see that right flipper do the little thing, dip down, and then it's going to bounce over to the left flip. And it looks so good. It's that subtle little thing that
simulated mechanics, basically. Yes. Simulated mechanical physics, yeah.
But here's the other thing. It's not... Although it's simulated mechanics, it also does absorb the energy of the ball a little bit.
Oh, so it's not just visual.
Yeah, so when the very first day we got the beta, and we were testing it out, it felt like it was just sucking up all the energy of the ball. And I made a comment, actually, Deep is the one that posted and said, hey, how do you guys feel about the energy of the ball? Yeah. And I said, it's being absorbed. You guys got to fix it. He's like, that's what I thought. He fixed it the next day. It was like, sweet. So what is the difference? What you'll notice in these dead passes is instead of the ball bouncing straight up, it's doing a proper low arc to the other flipper.
So you can dead bounce it really convincingly.
Yeah, really convincingly.
Yeah.
It does allow you to do better post passes also. Again, they just behave more naturally. I mean, you were able to do them before, but now it visually looks appropriate.
You see that sort of bit of, like, if you slow mode on the Zen tables with the proper physics on, and then compare that with a table with new rubbers, etc., you'd be looking at the same thing, basically.
Yeah. The ability to do flipper tricks, I'm not good at those to begin with. I can't really tell you how successful.
I could do a post pass. I could do like
that's about it. But this
sometimes
I'm like,
oh no,
what? Live catch?
I can fluke them. I can flick it when I'm like in a tournament at Netherworld, and I go, and I just like try and save the ball. I go, I guess that was a tip pass.
I have practiced live catches on my 8-Ball Deluxe. I had the glass off, and I was literally just rolling the ball down over and over again to try and do a proper catch, and it's so hard. You can start because of the machine, and you're familiar with the machine, and you're familiar with the reaction time of the flipper. You can start to kind of get consistently doing it. And the same can be said for Zen, that you can start understanding the speed and when, what your flipper timing has to be to do it. I know some people have complained. They're like, why is it so hard to do a live catch? And I'm like, because how often do you see pro players doing it? They don't do it consistently.
They probably like make it look easy, but really they're going, I hope this works.
Yeah. But what, and I think, again, Mel mentioned this flipper physics, it's not something that has been just thrown together quickly.
It's taken like a year for them to do it, or pretty much as soon as they were thinking about this, as like with the license acquisition.
They've been working on it a very long time, and it even to the point that Deep did high-speed camera recording of actual flippers' behavior and modeled everything off of that. So he was sitting there with a high-speed camera, watching it in super slow-mo, seeing how the ball hits, seeing how the rubber compresses, if it compresses at all, seeing how the flex of the flippers go.
It's crazy. You can see the result. Like the result that Deep has been able to engineer with the flipper physics is just unbelievable.
Yeah. So I mean, this is what happens when you get people that are obsessive about pinball, and they're the programmers and the designers and all the above. Because, and again, this isn't something that they can charge for. It's just part of the game.
It is core game experience, basically. Yeah.
And if you're wondering, so Mel made a mistake in the podcast. I've corrected it on Twitter because he asked me to. But he initially said that it's going to be like this for upon release, all 4 volumes. Not the case. It's only going to be for volume 4 right now. Basically, they're using this as a public beta. So if you have a problem once you get a hold of this with how it plays, if it doesn't,
you need to speak up.
Speak up. Let Zen know. Not on the forum. Zen doesn't read the forum. Let him know on Twitter. Just hashtag Zen Studios, hashtag Pinball FX3, or at, excuse me, not hashtags, but at your Twitter handles. That's the best way to communicate with them. They'll see it and they'll be able to react to it accordingly. But
McLovin is all over the social medias. So he is, ACOS is everywhere. So like I see a fair bit of outreach happening on Twitter as well.
And I mean, personally, to me, I think it's perfectly fine. But again, others, people that actually are able to do these tricks might have some other comment. But by limiting it to just these 3 tables, they can eliminate the factor of, it's because of how this table behaves, how this table behaves. It's a more focused look. They can quickly address whatever problems are specific to these tables, whatever they learn from this, then they can go back and apply towards all the other
ones.
Yeah. So it will be coming. It's just
not just yet. They need to do their research and make sure the public likes what they see. Exactly.
That being said, I can't wait for it to be popped in, because when I play one of the other tables, I'm like, I mean, it's not that it feels incredibly different, but that little visual cue, just
you miss it.
Just miss it. Back to Hurricane, though. Hurricane, I have to turn off the enhanced mode, because the clown
gives you the shiznits. Yeah.
He's just not cute. He's rather evil looking. He really does need to be wearing a Pennywise costume. I didn't even notice this until until the other day. Zen actually posted the GIF of it happening, and then I watched it happen in game. If you wait for, because normally as soon as a game ends, I'm not waiting for the match animation. No. But if you wait for the match animation to happen, the clown, who apparently has either a very large back pocket or
let's call it a back pocket.
Yeah, we'll call it a back pocket. But he reaches behind and he pulls out a balloon and he blows it up. It's a red balloon, and he grabs the string and he floats up into the air. And I'm like, okay, not Pennywise.
No, not at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen that. I went, oh well, clearly that's a reference to Pennywise right there. Creepy clown.
Yeah, the one cool animation that they have is on the left-hand side, there's some drop targets, and they're duck targets.
They're cool.
And they put animated, not animated real ducks, but little ducky targets, basically
metal
that zigzag back and forth. And as you drop on a drop target, one of the duckies will disappear. So it's just a fun little extra visual thing. I don't care for the carousel that they have on there.
No, that sort of really gets in the way.
Placement, and I don't like the visual of it. So there's that. They went pretty subtle though with the enhancements. They're not. I mean, other than the clown being right there front and center, they didn't go too nuts with what they did with Hurricane. The really cool thing, and I actually, again, in one of my comments on Dead Flip's stream, I said the backglass wasn't animated, and then I accidentally, while playing it these times, bumped joystick to look at the backglass, and I went, "Whoa, wait a second!" So, in those moments when it does the spinny wheel of whatever your prize
The
is,
random award, yeah.
go ahead and
Flick
flick
it
that
up.
up to look at the backglass. It's spinning. It looks beautiful.
And it
So-
doesn't have the same initial fault that Farsight's implementation of it was, where it would spinning, then it just stopped, like it was like a immediate stop, like someone hit the brakes. Now this one is just like, it has that continued roll just as the motor winds down.
Well, on top of it, it's a high-res image.
It's beautiful.
The other lights that go on in the backglass are actually animating. And
Animating. Yeah.
Just like if you went with Safecracker and the animated,
the chase lights.
The chase lights, yeah, how they're actually animating as opposed to Farsight's, I don't think animated at all.
No.
They're just on.
They were basically a static image.
Yeah. So this bodes really well for Circus Voltaire.
Oh yeah, the backglass.
The backglass on that. And it bodes well for if and when they do Scared Stiff. It'll
with
look
the spider. Oh, I can't wait to see that spider without the key in it.
Without the top. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, just go ahead. Next time you're playing Scared Stiff in Pinball Arcade, and you get to the Elvira animated backglass spider wheel, just look dead center, right at the very top. You're going to see a key in the in the machine.
Dangling
down because somebody didn't pull that when they took the photo.
Yeah. And it would have literally taken them probably another minute to just redo the photo and then put it into the game. A minute, and they would have had it done. And if they wanted to, at the same time, they could have just literally taken the spider wheel out of the game, because it's a separate thing, I think, in the back glass. That whole panel comes out, take the spider off, take the photograph of the panel, then put everything back together again. You'd have a nice crisp image. But no, let's just take a photo of the whole back box, and then let's just superimpose the spider over all that. Yeah, this is fine.
It seriously is. It's like the more tables we get, the less I play the other. And I can't
remember the last time that I've started up Pinball Arcade.
I started up literally to compare. And that's the end of it.
That's where it stopped.
Oh, no, I take it back. I've actually looked it up to look up more detailed rules. Again, that's the best thing about it is the rule set.
Yeah.
Because I was looking up the rules for Whitewater on Zen, and it's literally 6 pages, and that's it.
Okay.
It doesn't tell you much. It doesn't tell you much at all.
Is it essentially just the instruction card rules, and that's it?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
I mean, really, for someone who's new to the game, that's actually probably the right amount of rules to offer them. Like, if you got to remember the audience. Yeah. Well, if you've been playing it on Pinball Arcade, chances are you don't actually need to look at the rules. So. For people who are just learning the game, like, you got to remember the new audience that Zen has now with this. If they are coming to the game, would you want to read 40 pages of rules before starting the game? I certainly wouldn't, and I can tell you for a fact I never have. I never used the rules in the game.
I used the rules to learn how to meet the goals, and by learning how to meet the goals, that basically taught me all the rules I needed. The funny thing is. Now, when I'm playing these tables coming to Zen, I'm sitting there going, "Oh yeah, like Attack from Mars." I'm sitting there like, "Okay, no, don't." You get 2 orbits and 2 ramp shots, shoot them 3 times, and then that activates the hurry up, right?
Yeah, right.
You don't hit the center on any of them until you've got all 4 lit. Then automatically you get. Total Annihilation, and it gives you a 1 billion point bonus.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
I think the first one is 100 million. If you do 2 ramps at the same time, it's 300 million. 3 ramps at the same time, it's either 6 or 750 million. I can't remember which. I think it's 600 million.
So essentially, by doing those ramp shots and loop shots, you're relighting the hurry up each time you complete.
Right.
So that's something I didn't know.
And there was a wizard goal in TPA that was only if you got the 1 billion point hurry up award.
Right.
So what do you think I do whenever I play Attack from Mars. I'm
You do
always in
that.
my head trying to not hit the center. I'm like, it doesn't matter. There's no wizard goal to earn. Nobody's standing around going to be impressed with doing it. Just get the stupid point and go on, move on.
Collect the points and then do it again. You know, it's not
Right.
worth $1 billion. Like,
That being said, and again, watching Jack Danger on his Dead Flip Twitch stream, he pointed something out on Whitewater that I was like, oh, because Whitewater, man, I can't get a good score to save my life on that. And he kind of highlighted about how, oh, well, you got to get this 2-time score that just goes permanently, and then you got to get in the Boulder Garden, you got to light the 5-time, but before you actually light it, or you light it, and then immediately you want to start multi-ball, and then you want to hit the jackpots, and he goes, it's just like massive score instantaneously.
oh,
And so in my head, I'm like going, okay, I'm going to have to learn that for when I play the mobile app and am doing the 1-ball, 5-ball, or 1-ball, 5-minute and survival challenges, because I'm going to need that in order to beat these challenges.
You can guarantee that's probably what they're going to be doing, measuring how to actually get that goal. Because that's what I've seen in some of the other like mobile challenge modes. There's a particular set of steps you need to do to be able to meet the challenge mode, and it's almost like if you don't do those steps, you don't have a chance. You're not going to be meeting it. No. So yeah, that's a good tip from our friend Jack, friend of the show, Jack.
Friend of the show, not friend on Steam. I've put my invite out, but he hasn't accepted it yet. So bastard.
Oh well, okay, he's dead to us then.
Right. What more can I say about Hurricane? I really don't like the table. But that's not Zen's fault. That's just
no. The table doesn't appeal to me either. Again, the table is well done. The table does not appeal to me.
Yeah. For those of you that it does appeal to, I think you're gonna be very excited by it.
Oh, yeah. If you love the trilogy, the theme park trilogy, you're gonna really like this table because it's very slick.
So the last table then is Roadshow.
Yeah.
And apparently there's a bit of a controversy going on because the way Zen has rendered it, they gave it the blue side rails and lock bar that were in the flyer photo and in the promo machines. And people are going, that's supposed to be chromed. I want my steel side rails and lock bar.
In regular mode, in non-Zen mode. Well, that's how they could probably do it. They could just make the blue ones in.
Well, that's what some people are asking. Hey, can you just make it do that for enhanced mode?
Yeah.
But
problem solved.
Honestly, I think Zen has better things to do than worry about the color of the lock bar. Which again, if you look at the flyer, that's the color.
Take a couple of hours to do it. Take them a couple of hours to do it, honestly. The way they've got everything laid out in the app. Like you go, oh, so you want Chrome? Apply Chrome textures in the mode, flip it out when you change it over. Probably wouldn't even take them that long. Like very, very simple, trivial fix to do.
But it's people are making a big deal out of it. It's not a big deal.
It's not that big deal. No.
When I play, I don't even notice it. Yes. No. When the table first loads up and you're doing the flyby, you go, oh, hey, look, purple. Or not purple, blue. That's the last I think about it. Because why am I not thinking about anything else? It looks gorgeous. Oh my God. The
so chromy
are amazing. They have so much character and depth to them. They look fully 3-dimensional. They don't look
like really do.
A flat.
Do you know why they look 3-dimensional, Chris? The lighting and the lighting. Yeah. Yes, the lighting. Lighting actually makes a difference. Yeah,
it does make a difference. Just a slight one. Enhancements on this one. They've
gone hard.
They've gone hard, and they're going to divide you a little bit. They made Ted have a bulldozer that sits on the apron of the machine, and this bulldozer is very animated.
It jumps around.
It jumps around when you do something like the very first mode that a lot of times happens, which is smash the New York taxis. It jumps into the middle of the playfield, and for a moment you're like, oh God, please don't stay there.
Yes.
And then it jumps away just as the ball starts launching, which is highly distracting.
But do you know what I feel like doing? Every time it does it, I go, oh, I just want to hit it. I just want to hit the bulldozer.
I do wish that we could plow into that.
Imagine if that was in front of Ted up the top, and you were smashing that thing, and it was animating, as you were smashing it. Or it'd have to be a cab, of course, because you're the bulldozer. But yeah, if it was actually driving into the cab or something like that, they could really have gone a little bit nuts with this as far as animations go.
Yeah. The only other animations that they did were basically over by Bob's on the upper left. They put a little flip book of the days of the week.
Yeah.
And with Monday, with Ted being very sad.
Very sad, Ted.
By Friday, he's like, big old wide open mouth, and he's so excited that it's payday. So playing this whole bunch, I'm just laughing. I'm like, so the whole point of this game is Ted wants to get drunk. He keeps on saying, payday, just party
time.
Tie one on. Well, does he say tie one on? I can't remember if he does or not.
He doesn't say tie one on, but he goes, we're going to hound the hog tonight or something. Which
sounds
vaguely sexual.
We're high on the hog tonight.
Sounds vaguely sexual.
He's saying, I want to get drunk.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Friday payday happens and Red's like, let's do it. And he's like, nah, I'm tired.
Yeah. Yep. I got a headache.
The other thing that cracks me up is, so Red, the female, is Ted's boss. And yet Ted sits there and go, come on, baby. Like throws out these little terms. I'm like, nope, wouldn't fly today. And then when you do like spring break and it's in Miami and he does the little wolf call whistle and she's like,
oh, Ted.
Well, she doesn't say, oh, Ted. It just escaped me with the phrasing that she uses. It'll come to me in a moment. But again, it was, after he just kind of goes, just a bit of fun kind of thing. She's like, oh, Ted, like, oh, you're just such a guy. And again, I'm just like,
yeah.
Oh, I know. She goes, jerk alert.
Yep. I think she's actually referring to the people that they're bumping into. I think
that's what happens immediately after Ted whistles.
Oh, okay. So I read it differently. I think it actually has something to do with the jerks that are like at spring break. Essentially, that's how I read it. I wasn't thinking so much about the wolf whistling, but maybe I'm just yeah.
Again, it's one of those things that now that we're in the times that we are, you start interpreting things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
For instance, the taxi cab driver. Woo, boy.
Yes.
Slightly stereotypical, like Indian sounding
guy. Apu from Simpsons. Yeah. Very, very, yes.
Stereotypical.
Very stereotypical.
Yeah, I'm not going to call these things racist. It's just stereotypes. Now, if you want to call a stereotype a racist thing, that's your business.
Very much like the same with Dinah. Like, they are stereotypical representations of not racist. Really.
You want to debate that? I don't think we need to go there.
Yeah, you could go either way on it. Like, if it offends you, then yeah. Well, that's the thing about like racism and that sort of stuff. It's racist if it affects you. So if you feel offended by it, then yeah, it's racist. So that's racist.
Considering the phone call that I was just on today disputing a credit card charge, I basically talked to the taxi cab driver. So
did he remove his bulldozer from your street?
I wound up getting passed along to somebody else that would, a supervisor that could help me more. But my point is it's not like the voice is inaccurate. When speaking English, so I'm just saying. But yeah, the other things, the only other things that are animated, if the radio plays music, little music notes pop out of it.
It's really funny that you might remember that when we were looking for our new logo, there was one submission that actually had that radio focused with speech bubbles coming out of it. And one of those speech bubbles was blah, 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 blah. Now, that's actually what comes out of the animated radio. And when I saw that, I thought, isn't that funny?
Yeah, during the talk radio.
Yeah, talk back radio. And when I saw that, I actually laughed quite a bit when I saw that. I went, look at that. We could just
maybe
take
that's
a screenshot.
An audio drop of that.
I've got I may or may not have a large collection of soundtracks from pinball machines.
Maybe or not. Okay.
May or may not, allegedly.
May not. Yeah, the only other animation is the horn. So whenever you hear the driving going by, you'll see the horn kind of animate.
Yeah.
But again, other than the bulldozer, is kind of subtle with the enhancements. Of course, all of them have the mirror, or not mirror blades, but the side blades.
Art blades.
Yeah. So that's all pretty cool. But yeah, all three of these tables just play so much more difficult. Again, I'm thrilled if I actually hit the replay mark.
One thing I noticed that when in the early alpha, like this is not the very first alpha with the weird physics, but the second alpha. When I was playing on Zen physics mode, so the regular arcade style, not arcade style, it's so confusing. Zen, the Zen untouched, not Williams pro physics mode. What I noticed is when I was shooting that left ramp, it was hard. Like it was really hard to get it up that ramp in regular non-pro fancy physics. But in the pro physics or the like arcade physics, it behaved like normal. So I don't know if you observed that as well, like if you switch back to Zen standard physics.
I didn't do that switch. I noticed that in arcade physics that it's not like the ball rockets up that ramp.
No, it was like not rocketing.
The table. So it kind of goes up and crests decently. But I've had rollbacks on it also. Yeah,
but this was like almost all the time. It was like you're flat out making the ramp.
Kind of like the right ramp on Medieval Madness.
Yeah, yes. Quite a lot like that, actually. Like it would get tantalizingly close to the apex and then just roll back down again. Like it would, if you were playing it in the arcade, like on a real machine, you'd think, oh, that right flip is weak. It needs to have a rebuild. Because it was like just creeping over the top of the ramp. And so much so that like the baked in like sound effects that you get when you make that switch at the top of the ramp, the ball was moving so slowly that they didn't match up with the ball's position on the ramp. So like it was slow. So it may have been tweaked, or it may have just been part of that particular alpha version of the code that I was looking at. But I noticed it, and then when I flicked over, for example, it's the same in Hurricane. It sort of felt a bit the same. So it's almost like I felt like they were actually swapping the two physics models around. So it felt like to me that as far as ramp shots go, we had the arcade physics or the pro physics applied to the other way around.
Oh, okay. I mean,
yeah, but just the ramps. Everything else was like it seemed fine, but it was just the ramps felt weird. But clearly, that's no longer a problem, and clearly, you will want to be playing these on proper simulation physics.
And apparently, tournament mode, the table angle has been decreased a little bit. A lot of complaints about the speed of the ball being just insane. And so
the rake was just too high, was it? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Deep has changed that. The speed of the ball is not quite so severe. And he says that he will be going back and lowering it on volumes 1 through 3 also, basically because he said that they're not going to be resetting any leaderboards, and they can't make things tougher because that makes the high scores, right, the high scores that were set prior then are unobtainable. So they don't have a problem making things a little bit easier, because then people can still surpass whatever is on the leaderboard.
And that's an interesting point, isn't it? Because that's obviously why they've gone for hard as nails first up, so they have some wiggle room, so they can back it down and not have to worry about those concerns. So that's smart. That's smart playing on their behalf.
And truth be told, with the tournament mode, to me, tournament mode is all about the difference in the scoring.
Yeah, the rules, like being consistently and leveled. That's what tournament's about. It's not necessarily about the difficulty of the physicality of the table. No, although you'll see that in paper tournaments, but they remove posts and
Yeah.
block off holes and stuff.
Whenever I would go to League, they would set up the machines to tournament by going into the menu
settings and applying tournament settings.
Tournament. They weren't then all of a sudden sitting there, crawling under the table and adjusting the legs.
No. Because when you do that, you've got to it would take so long to spin up a tournament. Like, say you did that at Netherworld, you have 10 machines in the tournament. You have to go under each one, bump the legs, then go in and actually adjust the tilt ring so you weren't actually having tight tilts, and then you have to change all that back. Well, what I did notice though,
I was just going to say that Stern used to. I mean, they on some of their machines they had a tournament button.
You just do it ad hoc.
Push the button, and now you're playing tournament style. So again, it doesn't have to be anything about the rake.
Just the rules.
It's about the rules.
Like, for example, in tournament mode on most machines, extra balls pay out points, for example. And that's like the most basic tournament rule you can get, pretty much. I noticed that in Netherworld, there was a point at which Jason Lambert, or Lambo, he was actually going in and changing not only the tournament rules, but also changing further features in the game to make it a faster playing game. Because we have a real problem with getting through games before 9 a.m. Like, the tournament starts at 4 and the finals begin at 9. And the other week, because we had about 50 or 55 players, we had to extend it by half an hour.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And so, we have to do everything we can. You'll find that the games that mostly get selected in the Netherworld tournaments are System 80s. Well, not System 80s, sorry, System 11s. And, of the ilk of Taxi. And, I haven't remembered a tournament once that didn't have Trident in it. Because it's just a brutally fast game. And then, the ones that they have to really tweak are things like, I think Walking Dead always has extra balls off because it's a long player.
Yeah.
And then there's a few other ones that are culprits for being super long. Deadpool, that's terrible as a tournament game. You could just keep going and going on that thing. Yeah, there's a few. So that you've really got to do it in a tournament. But yeah, the rules are the thing that you need to change, not any physicality of the table.
So I know I've heard quite a few people have kind of piped in going, I'm not thrilled with this pack. When I first started playing it, I wasn't thrilled with it either. Truth be told. That being said, now that I've been playing it a little bit more, getting back into it, again, Hurricane's never going to be one that I'm just like, yeah, let's play Hurricane. But Roadshow, I really do like it. And
there's a lot in that game too. You can do a lot of different things in it.
Yeah. And Whitewater is one of those that once I figure out the rules, and I've done this before where I figured out the rules and then I have a great time on it. But before figuring out the rules, it's a slog. It's a hard table. It's in a lot of respects kind of like what Ripley's Believe It or Not was. Where you need to first understand how to score. Once you figure that out, then it opens up the table and becomes a lot more fun to do.
Actually,
I would say give it a shot, folks. Look, ultimately you're going to buy it. So even if you say you're not going to buy it now, fine, wait for the sale. It'll go on sale eventually.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we'll do the sale.
We've got we've got 2 packs left. And basically what Mel said in the way I asked the question, it was kind of my whole point. We're going to get these other 6 tables that are the DMD machines. They can be cleanly broken into 1 pack is nothing but Williams, 1 pack is nothing but Bally. So it's just going to be a question of which pack comes first, Bally or the Williams. And
I think you can probably apply a fair bit of manual drop logic to these as well, because they're running out of manual stacks. In the first video.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, it's going to be a combination of Circus Voltaire, Whodunit, and Cactus Canyon. That's your Bally pack, and then the Williams pack is Tales of the Arabian Nights, No Good Gophers, and I'm gonna blank on the last one.
I'm really excited to see NGG.
No Good Gophers is gonna look fantastic. It's gonna look fantastic.
I just really hope they the thing that frustrates me the most about the game is just how touchy and sensitive the pop bumpers are in TPA. You could just literally go and make a coffee sometimes while the ball rattles around in those pop bumpers. It is the source of frustration for me.
Thank you, Craig, on YouTube. Jackbot, that's the final table.
Jackbot. Now, that's one. People go, oh, it's just a remake. but you know, there's some strategy in that which I couldn't tell you, but I know it exists because I know there's a way to blow up that game.
I certainly like Jackbot way better than Pinbot. Pinbot, you don't score anything until you drain the ball. It's like everything is, the entire game is scored off the bonus count.
Yes.
And I hate that.
Yeah, that's a valid point. It is frustrating, but yeah, it's much. They've essentially, by doing that proper retheme and actually re-rules, it's made it a much more balanced game. And sure, it's a big scorer. Like, you can get ridiculous scores. It was in the era of Bally Williams games where they were almost competing with, I think it was Data East, for ridiculous scores. You know, in the, like, Johnny Mnemonic, for example, the billions and billions of gigabytes that you can earn in that game is just preposterous, you know. So yeah, it was.
It's kind of comical when you hear about, like, I think it's Comet that was the first table with a 1 million point shot, and now
1 million points.
You're like, if I launch the ball in Theater of Magic, I earn 5 million.
It's so weird. And then, like, you look at it's gone back full circle again, where things like the Jersey Jack pins are really low scorers,
and I hate that. Honestly, I hate it. To me, there's and we've talked about this before. System 11 scoring is probably the best because
it feels right. Like, you feel like you're getting just enough payoff for that big shot. Like, you go into Taxi and you get that you know, meter jackpot, for example. That's another interesting one in tournament too. They've got it permanently locked at Netherworld to 1.5 million because people were deliberately waiting to late in the tournament to put all their games on Taxi so they could get the cumulative jackpot and just basically get position 1 automatically.
Yeah,
you know. And oh man, that game locking it to 1.5 million is the best thing that you can do for that game in a tournament. Like, seriously. So yeah.
But
the System 11s are well-balanced games, so they really do feel good to play.
Jersey Jack just kind of drives me nuts because it's like, you'll be sitting there playing, you'll be having a really good ball. You might be on that ball for 45 seconds to 1 minute. Yeah, that's a really good ball.
Like, dialed in, you're smashing all those flashing lights, and it's just going nuts.
And it goes 7,000. You're like, what? Come on! I had to have hit something. I mean,
exactly.
Even EM scored better than this.
I've just flashed into my mind that I need to mention something that's relevant to me. Yes, so I'll keep that there. Let's continue, but remind me that I have a thing to talk about at the end.
You got it. The other things so basically what Mel said, and I'll just summarize some of what was in the previous podcast, is we're going to get through these 6. Alphanumerics are indeed on the way.
On the table.
I did not ask about numerics, but alphanumerics for sure are on the way. There is a list over on Digital Pinball Fans. There's 2 threads. If you look under, I think it got put under the Zen categories, but it's basically what are going to be the first alphanumerics, what are going to be the first numerics, and there's a list of all the possible tables that'll pop into. If you look at the numerics tables, holy crap, what was up with Bally between 1978 and 1983? They produced so many tables, it's redonkulous.
And they're not rethemes either. They're genuine bespoke design tables. It is crazy.
And
crazy.
Most of them are just mediocre.
Yeah. There's a few in there that are good, but yeah, you're right. They're rinse repeats, aren't they?
If you went push comes to shove in terms of what Zen would do of the numerics, it's pretty much going to come down to the exact same ones that Farsight picked.
Yes, because they're the stronger games.
They are the stronger games. There's no doubt about it.
Like
but
Paragon,
the alphanumerics, for example. What's that?
Like Paragon, for example. I think that's a Bally.
It is a Bally, and there's the 6 Y bodies that Bally did. And while it would be great to have all 6 of them in there, I don't think that it's a style of table that many people. Well, you're not going to get Space Invaders. That's just
because that's fraught with license issues. Yeah,
fraught with license issues. And then you got a table called Hot Doggin'. Most people don't really know about that.
No idea about that.
Which is kind of racy. That would cause problems probably for their
That would be a
console.
censorship nightmare, that one.
Yeah. And then you got Paragon and Embryon, which are both pretty good.
Mm.
And I'm not sure if I'm missing one more. I think I am.
Yeah. I
Missing
can't
one more.
remember it
Anyway.
either.
But things like Centaur, yeah, you're really gonna want it.
Yeah, it's great.
You're gonna want Space Shuttle, I'm sure. There's tables like that. 8-Ball Deluxe, you're gonna want.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the alphanumerics. But before the alphanumerics, he did say first license table now is probably going to be around Halloween.
So have a guess what that might be.
And we'll see. Everybody immediately goes to thinking it's the Farsight way of thinking, where Farsight was like Halloween table for Halloween theme. This is them. We don't know. It's going to be their first license table. Who knows what it's going to be?
Yeah, interesting. They didn't say October. They said Halloween.
They said Halloween.
So yeah, they're
I might know what some of the possible titles are based off conversations, so I'm going to keep myself out of it. And the new original table, 3 tables that they're working on, as he put it, game development problems. They've been delayed. They won't be coming out until 2020.
Yeah. Yes, I made a point of indexing those directly in the show last week because I thought people want to know about that. I put a timing note in the show for that last week.
Yeah. In terms of I asked him about his conversations with Stern, and nothing is set in stone, folks. He didn't say yes, a deal is imminent, but
which he wouldn't say anyhow.
Yeah, he wouldn't say anyhow. That being said, he had conversations with them.
They talked at least, and Gary finally got digital. That's the thing that was a big thing in the meeting. Like Gary worked out that while their stand had no people coming up to it.
Gary got to see at Star Wars Celebration. He got to see the big pinball machine, the big cabinet, and we don't have enough time to talk about it this time, which is fine. We always need topics, so we'll go into that next week about the what Zen can do with this big monstrosity of a machine. But let's just say that thing opened Gary's eyes. So
he went, wow, everyone wants to play this thing. Yeah, and they don't want to play our chopped liver tables within the context of the event that they were at, and that's the important thing to realize. But if you want to get warmed up for that topic next week, you go and listen to the interview podcast and look for those timing notes.
That you should. Okay.
Well, I have the thing that I need to.
You have the thing. Yes. What was the thing?
So what I've been looking around in forums for is I've been the Star Race boards. They are continuing to be finicky. So I was going, all right, well, I've heard through Ed of the Pinball that there's a guy in France called Pascal, and he makes these boards for System 80s, and they're just called Pascal boards. They're a direct drop-in replacement for the System 80 architecture, and they're System 80, all the System 80 revisions basically are supported with this board. And the board is like, how the whole light box in a pinball machine is typically taken up with a series of boards. This thing is like a postage stamp in the bottom left-hand corner of the board. It's that much refined. So I figured, what would be possibilities I could do if I could get that board? Well, I was thinking, maybe I could actually completely redesign the back box of my table and have like a low boy back box with just a small, almost like a video game marquee style back glass in it, because my back glass is pretty rough. It's not in good condition. It's flaked and there's a lot of missing paint. So I could go, I could just basically cut down an old board and then just reposition the lights and then just make up a custom back glass in Photoshop or whatever and get that printed and make a lower back glass and just make it really compact. Yeah, and exactly. Or just put a big LED strip in it because you wouldn't need all the incandescent bulbs in the back. It'd be really easy. So I think, okay, cool. And, Ed was saying, this is what I've done for all my games. I've just put in these boards and they're direct replacements. You just don't have to do any rewiring. It's great. And I thought, that sounds right up my alley. So I went on to the Pascal site and I saw the board and I thought, this looks great. And then he had a little link saying, not all games are supported, because I thought this board, you just basically take the ROM chips out of your existing game dump them into this board and you'd be done. But the way Pascal actually writes his code is he completely de-engineers the ROM and recodes it, because he adds things in like ball save and like other stuff that's just not possible with the current System 80 architecture, which you can turn on and off at will. Like it's all dip switch settings. So you can have it original, purely original, or enhanced. And it's really good. Like what he does is amazing. But the problem is that Star Race is not on the supported ROM list.
Oh.
Star Race, because he said, look, I've been trying to find this game in France for years and I cannot find it. They come up for sale, and because it's such a rare game, boom, it's gone before I can even put a bid in. So he goes, I'm really having a hard time getting a table, because what he needs to do is, of course, have the table in his shop. Because he needs to put oscilloscopes on probes and stuff like that in the game to measure outputs and all that sort of stuff, so he can actually detect the signals coming from the ROM and then orchestrate that in his new version of the ROM. So I said, look, as an owner, is there anything I can do for you? I have a mate who has access to oscilloscopes and a whole lot of bench testing equipment. I said, could we do this remotely? Could I actually take measurement points for you and help you with this to get this ROM available for your customers, and in turn for me? And he goes, look, that's a very, very generous offer, and thank you, but I really do need it in the studio, because I need to play it and then look at and essentially record the outputs from the game while it's playing, so I get a realistic representation of how to code things. So
ship great.
Ship it over. Yeah, that'd be cheap.
No, make him pay for it.
Well, no, he said, look, I've been looking for a loan machine for ages as well, but there's just not a lot in France.
Yeah.
And so I was going, oh, that's a real bummer. And the way that the ROM boards work is they're proprietary. So if you want, like, you free updates for life for them, but to get an update, you need to just ship the little tiny business card size board over back to him. He'll reflash it and post it back to you. So I was thinking, if I just got his under NDA, I even said, look, if I need to enter into NDA, I will do that to make this happen. And he said, look, I've got to have it there. But I could go into NDA. He could send me his flashing software. I could flash ROMs when he'd made them available, etc., to like cut down time. But just not possible. So my call for action, or my call for help for everyone who's listening to this show, and it would be really good if you could share this message out wide, is if you know anybody in France who has a Star Race, whether it's in their private collection or anywhere, could you please go to to Pascal's site and get in touch with him, because he could really do with some help here. There's a list of games that he can't find ready examples for, and all he need would be get a loan of the table for like a month, and then he could actually make these ROMs and save a lot of pinball owners problems with the System 80 board sets that are floating around at the moment. So I'll put the link to his website, which is, I believe it's flip with 3ps.fr. But if you do a search for Pascal boards in YouTube, you'll see them. So yeah, if you could do me a solid, that would be really great. If you could ask around on anywhere that you might know people in France. And I think probably I might actually end up starting a post on Pinside in the Star Race owners thread to see if anyone is on there in France and could actually help this guy out, because like the possibilities with this board to completely kind of make this very unique and very interesting, this game would be very cool and very interesting indeed. So yeah, please help if you can.
That would be wonderful.
So cool. Yeah. So cool.
And, personally beneficial for him.
Well, for him too, because he can then sell the ROM.
And, exactly.
There's a lot of Star Race owners out there, I think, still with games that are probably on their last legs. So, the System 80 boards are pretty robust, but to get them pretty robust, you got to spend a pretty penny on them, as I found out.
Oh, hey, Jared, what's that?
Oh,
it sounds like music.
It's end music.
It's end music. That means, folks, it's coming to an end. That is correct, folks. You need to follow us on the socials. So we are at BlahCade on Twitter. Jared is at Jared Morgs. I am at Shut Your Traps. go ahead and follow us, won't you? You got an email that you want to send us, it's BlahCade@gmail.com. Or why don't you just go ahead and visit our website, which is BlahCadePinball.com/episodes. Last but not least, don't you want to buy a t-shirt? You know you do. You need to go to redbubble.com and do a search for BlahCade, and then you can do some really groovy things. All right. With that, if anybody wants, follow over to Steam, look up Shut Your Trap as a profile, and you can maybe see some Volume 4 gameplay going on in just a minute or two. All right. Until then, we will talk to you all again next week. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.